Hi guys, it's April. Somehow the middle of the month is already here. It is now the middle of August, so that means mid-August wrap up for your faces. Now for the past 2 weeks, I have read a couple of books and I've enjoyed them, and I don't even know how I want to segue into what I read this month, so I am just gonna give you what I have read so far. This is just gonna be that simple. So I finally finished A Court of Wings and Ruins by Sarah J. Maas. This book I have been reading for probably over a month. It is something that just seemed to keep on dragging on. I don't know if it was timing or the fact that this is just one of those books that was excited for to see how the story concluded, but it was just longer than I necessarily thought it should be. This is the conclusion of The Court of Thorns and Roses. I giggle at conclusion because apparently there's going to be spin-offs of some of these characters. I did enjoy the story. I won't go into too much detail about it because spoilers for the first part of the series, but it's safe to say that everything comes to head in Freya's world as she deals with the fallout of a lot of decisions she's made, an epic battle between Fae and human and everything else. It comes to a climax in this book. Like I said, I did enjoy it. However, there were parts that I felt were just way too convenient. It was also longer than it needed to be. Way longer. Just like 700 pages is probably a bit excessive for some of the stuff that we could have done with this story. I have a on and off relationship with Sarah J. Maas's writing. Sometimes I enjoy the somewhat lyrical nature of her writing, and other times I just want her to get straight to the point and give me things. I don't need all of this extra fluff. There was also some things done with characters and storylines that I felt was just catering to some of the criticism that she has received for the series and throwing different types of diversity and persuasions in here that just, it felt forced, and then the stereotypes that are associated with that are just a little too much. Yeah, it felt a little icky at times. Okay, not a little icky, really icky at times. Like I said, I did enjoy it. There's things wrong, but I liked how things ended up playing out and some of the little tidbits that were thrown in about the world and the expansion. Just a little too long, a little too convenient, and not a fan of some of the things that she did character-wise just 'cause, yeah. I then picked up Maids of Misfortune by M. Louisa Locke. This is a story that takes place in 1879, San Francisco, centered around Annie Fuller, who is pretending to be a psychic so that males will take her advice on the stock market. She is very bright. She was raised by a father who was also in the business, so she knows a lot of the ins and outs of money. And so to earn some money because her husband is dead, she's a widower, to earn that extra money, she has turned to becoming a psychic and giving financial advice. She has racked up a fairly decent clientele when one of her clients ends up dead. She is convinced that he did not commit suicide because she had just talked to him about financial things and he was doing very well. And in the process, she meets the lawyer, Nate Dawson, who she convinces that there's something foul about everything that has gone on, and together they try to solve the mystery of this man's death. I really enjoyed it. There's a lot of fun little history things in the story, along with a lot of woman power and how things worked in that time period, and overall it was a very enjoyable read. I then picked up Starfall by Melissa Landers. This is a Starflight novel, but this one is centered around Cassia and Cain. Cassia and Cain, of course, were both shipmates in the Starflight novel, and here we get to see more of their backstory and a lot of what went on their home planet, and we get to go back to their home planet and war and all that kind of thing. Some of the stuff in this book, of course, is spoilers for Starflight, so I won't go too much into detail, but it's safe to say that I am not a huge fan of Cassia at all. I really, actually, most of the time, I just wanted to strangle her character. I have a hard time dealing with people who are a little too self-centered to realize what they're doing, but think that they're not. Maybe it's because I see a little bit of that in myself that I can't deal with it, but the way that she whiplashes Kane around drove me nuts. I couldn't deal with it. It was a entertaining read. It had a lot of those stereotype sci-fi space travel things going on. I liked it, but Starflight in my mind was above and beyond this book. I also picked up Talk Like Ted by Carmine Gallo. This is basically a self-help book that teaches you all the little aspects of why TED Talks do so well. All the key things that each of these speakers seem to have latched onto and what makes their talks really, really memorable. It's supposed to help you in your own public speaking, helping you be mindful of all of these different traits that well-known public speakers have picked up on. It was a good read. It wasn't something that was groundbreaking or earth-shattering, but I liked the way that he put it together and he referenced all of these TED Talks and gave examples of all of those pieces and how diverse his selection of these examples were. And it's probably something that I will go back to in the future when I have to give some talks and I want to refresh myself on it. I just find it helpful in that aspect. It's duh things, but at the same time it's a helpful reminder. And finally, I picked up Feminist Fight Club by Jessica Bennett. This is basically just how to deal with feminism in the modern day workplace. I do work in an office. Luckily, I am not in one of those workplaces that has this deep ingrained sense of maleness. I don't know how else to describe that. Sexism isn't something I constantly have to fight, at least in the workplace. Even though I'm in a very male-dominated field, I have seemed to have found a nice place of respect with my colleagues. But this read was helpful in the fact that it has brought up some things that I have to be mindful in myself and some traps that I can fall into in my thinking pattern, in my action pattern, and things to think about in the future, just to be mindful in case that shifts. One thing to note with this read, however, it is repetitive almost to an annoying fashion, and it isn't necessarily something that is groundbreaking or earth-shattering or presented in a way that is overall something that I need to shove in everybody's faces, but it is a friendly little kick in the side saying, hey, do you remember that you need to kind of think about this, otherwise you might find yourself in a position that you don't want to be in. So yeah. So that is my mid-August wrap-up. Simple as that, I guess. And looking at myself in the screen right now, I'm kind of realizing that my hair is getting kind of long. So that's a thing. Tell me down below what color you think I should make my hair next. That it was completely random, but it is something that I have actually been thinking about for a while now. So tell me down below. And I heart your beautiful faces. Bye.